Saudi Arabia says it wants nuclear power to generate electricity. But the question worrying Washington and wider Middle East is much bigger. Could a civilian nuclear program one day give Riyadh the ability to build a bomb? The United States and Saudi Arabia have agreed on a landmark deal under which American technology and expertise will be used to develop the kingdom's civilian nuclear program. The agreement could run for 30 years and is reportedly worth tens of billions of dollars. On paper, it is an energy partnership. Saudi Arabia currently uses large quantities of oil and gas to generate electricity. Under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's economic plans, the kingdom wants to diversify its energy sources. Generating electricity through nuclear power would also allow Saudi Arabia to save more oil for export. For the US, the deal offers both economic and strategic benefits. American companies could gain a major role in building Saudi Arabia's nuclear infrastructure. Washington would also prevent rivals such as China and Russia from securing a foothold in one of the world's most influential countries. But this is where the deal becomes controversial. The biggest unresolved question is whether Saudi Arabia will eventually be allowed to enrich uranium on its own soil. Uranium enrichment is required to produce fuel for nuclear reactors. But the same technology, when used to enrich uranium to much higher levels, can also produce material for a nuclear weapon. Many countries operate nuclear power plants without enriching uranium domestically. They simply import the fuel required for the reactors. Saudi Arabia, however, has long wanted the right to enrich uranium at home. The latest agreement reportedly leaves that possibility open. A joint US-Saudi study could examine whether an enrichment facility is necessary. That study may take 2 years, potentially leaving the final decision to the next American president. The Trump administration argues that US involvement would ensure oversight of Saudi Arabia's nuclear material, including enriched uranium and spent reactor fuel. It says this would prevent the material from being diverted towards a weapons program. But critics are not convinced. Saudi Arabia has previously said that if Iran develops a nuclear weapon, it would also seek one. That statement matters because the US is simultaneously trying to stop Iran from acquiring a nuclear bomb or enriching uranium to weapons-grade levels. Critics are therefore asking whether Washington is applying two different standards, one for Iran and another for Saudi Arabia. There are also concerns over inspections. Saudi Arabia is reportedly not being required to immediately accept the International Atomic Energy Agency's additional protocol. This protocol gives the UN nuclear watchdog broader powers to inspect facilities and verify that nuclear material is being used only for peaceful purposes. The agreement also appears to fall short of what is known as the nuclear gold standard. When the US signed a similar agreement with the UAE, Abu Dhabi agreed not to enrich uranium or reprocess spent nuclear fuel. Saudi Arabia has reportedly made no such commitment. That has raised fears of a regional nuclear race. Beyond the Middle East, Riyadh's mutual defense pact with nuclear-armed Pakistan could also heighten strategic tensions in the Indian subcontinent. If Saudi Arabia develops domestic enrichment capabilities, other countries in the Middle East could also demand the same rights. Israel, which is widely believed to possess nuclear weapons, has also reportedly raised concerns about the deal. The agreement could still face opposition in the US Congress. Democrats have warned that it may weaken global non-proliferation efforts and encourage Iran to further expand its own nuclear program. But blocking the deal will not be easy. Congress would have to pass a joint resolution against it and may ultimately need a 2/3 majority to override a presidential veto. So, the real debate is not whether Saudi Arabia should be allowed to generate nuclear electricity. It is whether the kingdom should also be given the technology to produce its own nuclear fuel. Because once a country acquires a uranium enrichment capability, the distance between a civilian nuclear program and a weapons option becomes much shorter. For now, the US-Saudi deal is being presented as an energy partnership. But its legacy may be decided by a far more consequential question. Will it power Saudi Arabia's future or ignite a nuclear race across the Middle East?
News never stops. The world keeps turning, and every turn tells a story. Wars, elections, geopolitics, Davids versus Goliaths.
While everyone is celebrating the US-China trade thaw, Trump has been quietly doing something else across Asia.
These were once home to the ancient Silk Road connecting east and west.
But who's connecting the dots? Who's decoding the global storm? Welcome to Times of India videos.
You're watching a special edition of Global Pulse with me, Neha Khanna.
בהנחיה שלי ושל שר הביטחון ישראל כץ.
Durante este año,
We decode the shifting grains of geopolitics to you. From Washington to Wuhan,
Доволені домовленості і сьогодні підписуються
everything, everywhere, all at once.
Just 2 years ago, Canada was one of the most popular countries for Indian students.
From Davos to Delhi, we track the decisions that move markets, shift policies, and shape the future. No jargon, no bias, just clear, credible, global journalism. Because understanding the world doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be smart. And that's what we do best. At Times of India videos, we don't just tell stories, we build perspective. We connect the dots between what's global and what's personal, what's happening out there, and what it means for you. It's fast. It's fearless. It's making sense of the changing world order. Times of India videos. Because your worldview is just a tap away.